What's up guys? I'm back with another deck review. Today we are doing Celestial. If you haven't seen or heard of Celestial, that is because you probably aren't following Incarded or Paul Carpenter from obviously Incarded. The deck hasn't really been advertised much from any other outside sources. Neither Art of Play or Rare Playing Cards or any other site have I seen promote it, so that is probably why you haven't seen it. But it's been out for about maybe a month or so. Let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. So we have the red edition here, and alongside the red edition was also a black edition. Now the black edition is the much rarer, much sought after deck of cards, and you'll see why in just a second. But we're gonna go ahead and take a look at both here today and see which one is right for you, and if you wanna buy one, I'll link it down below. So starting off with the red one, let's go ahead and take a look at the tuck case here. So the deck is a deck of cards that was thought of by Paul Carpenter himself and designed after an astronomical way of thinking. You'll see little intricate designs that remind you of space and measurements, and you'll see that in just a second. So the front of the tuck case looks like this. We've got the side, the other side, the back of the tuck case, which also has a sticker here or a seal telling you what number of deck you got and the number that were produced in this color. For example, this is number 127 out of 1,000 decks produced. The bottom just gives you copyright information of Incarded and where the deck was printed. The tuck case is a nice matte feel. It's a very deep dark red, and it's got a lot of foil and embossing that goes along with it. The inside of the tuck case is a dark, deep red as well, and it also has that same matte feel to it. Overall, it's a beautiful tuck case. Let's go ahead and take a look at the black tuck case. So the black tuck case is a little bit different, but overall the same. So the front of the tuck case has the back design of the cards. Now the cards don't exactly look like this, and you'll see what they look like in just a second, but overall the design is the same. Same goes for this. It has foil and nice embossing, and the tuck case is also in a nice matte rubbery feel. The side of the tuck case has nothing but those black foil stripes. Same thing for the other side. Same thing about copyright information, and the top of the tuck case just says Celestial. So it's a little bit different. The overall theme of the actual box is a little bit different, but that's kind of cool if you ask me, because that separates the red from the black. They're not exactly the same, although they sort of are, but it's not just a copy, which really goes to show that Paul Carpenter himself put a lot of thought and work into this and didn't just say, hey, you know what, let me make both tuck cases exactly the same. So now let's get into the fun part and see what these cards are all about. So as mentioned earlier, these cards are pretty limited, so I do recommend them for the avid collector or cardist. The Magician I really don't recommend them for. Maybe this red deck I do, because there is 1,000 made, but you just don't want these cards to really mess up. They're kind of a treat, right? You take them out of your collection, mess with them for a little while, and just experience the feel. These are printed by the Expert Playing Card Company, so if you've ever felt maybe Victorian room deck of playing cards by the Blue Crown or some of the exquisite decks, you'll come to see that they feel quite similar. And as well with the tuck case, I would like to mention that it is the Expert Playing Card Company's tuck case, so it has the reinforced flaps here. This flap isn't connected to the seam here, so when you do actually wear and tear this, it's not going to rip your whole seam here. So the box is very durable, it's very thick, and you'll come to realize when you get yourself one of these decks that it's quite nice actually. It feels like quality. So taking a look at the actual back of the cards, you do see the circular design and measurements and circles and astronomical design of this deck. It's quite intricate, and what's kind of cool about it is that it's pretty busy in the center, and then once you gravitate towards the outside, it does feel a little more controlled and not so busy, so it's pretty pleasing on the eyes and I like it. The red is a deep red. It's quite pleasant. And let's go ahead and take a look at the faces of the cards and show you some of the interesting cards that you may want to look at. So your spot cards are going to look like that. Quite nice, and they each have a corresponding dots to the number of the card. The reds are a deep red and the blacks are black, and same thing applies. The pips look pretty nice, and I do like the custom feel to that. It doesn't look really extraordinary, so as mentioned, for a magician it would be pretty okay to use. Your quartz look like this. Quite nice actually. And the ace of spades. And each ace has a jumbo pip in the center, as you will come to see in all the other aces. Here's one of the jokers. And the other joker right there. Now that you've seen the design of the deck, let's go ahead and talk about how they feel. So again, it's a waxy coating, and the stock is pretty much a happy medium. It's not super thick, it's not super thin. I personally prefer decks of cards that feel thinner than this, just because they feel broken in. So when you try to spring this right out of the box, it might be a little uncontrollable until you break them in. But your spreads are pretty nice, pretty even. Your fans will look pretty good as well. Let's try to get a better one. I could never really fan these Expert Playing Card Company decks. If you take a look at my other reviews on the Exquisite Bold, you'll come to notice that they, for me at least, I haven't gotten the knack to fan these really well as a deck from the United States Playing Card Company would fan for me. I guess it's that waxy coating that you just have to get used to and get that sweet spot. As mentioned, your springs are going to be a little uncontrollable at first, but nonetheless, the stock feels pretty good, and your riffle shuffles also sound snappy and quick. Your flourishes tend to be quite nice. The stock does tend to stick together, so it would be very easy for somebody to flourish with the red deck. Again, I do recommend this to the cardist that likes to collect and the cardist that likes to do cardistry. As for that, let's go ahead and take a look at the black deck of cards. So this is the deck that sold out in about 2 hours from Encarted's website. Reason being is this beautiful foil on the back of the deck makes this deck. And one of the reasons why this deck is so sought after is obviously its rarity. There were only 500 produced, and just the foil back design. It's mesmerizing to look at, and it looks like a hologram. This deck, when you first get it and you take it out of the box, it's going to be a brick. They do not come like, picture this. You buy a deck, you open it, it's ready to go. This one you do have to set it up. If you've ever owned a deck with gilded edges, same thing applies. I do believe the foil sticks together when the deck is freshly made, and I don't know if it's all decks come like that, but at least this one came like that in a solid block, and I did have to deconstruct it. But other than that, the quality of the deck is amazing, and I actually think the quality of this deck is better than the red deck, for reasons I don't know. Let's go ahead and take a look at a spread here. That's beautiful, and you can even see my reflection off of it, which is why this deck is so cool. I mean, I can't really stop looking at it. Certain angles, it doesn't look like foil, and other angles, it looks like foil. It's a beautiful deck, and it looks like an electronic deck if you just turn on a light switch and it's just on. The faces of the cards look pretty nice. They kind of remind me of any black deck, maybe an illusionist black deck or something like that. Your red spot cards will look like that, and your black will look like this. Taking a look at the two jokers here. And the red one. Ace of spades. And your court cards. I personally like this deck way better than the red one. I mean, I don't know who would like the red one over this one, but you know, some people might like the red one more just because maybe some people wouldn't be attracted to the foil, but It is beautiful. Now, the back design is a grayish black. It's not a jet black, so you will come to notice in some certain angles that it does look gray and not fully black, which I quite like. It's not super black. And then same thing for the front. That's the back design of this card, guys. It's beautiful. I like it. I can't really say anything else more, but how beautiful it is. Your fans look like this. And as I mentioned earlier, I do believe this one handles better. Again, I don't know what it is. It just feels smoother. And it fans quite nice. Your springs are a little bit better as well. I don't know if it's the foil or if it's a different stock. I don't think so, but I just really like this deck, guys. Same thing, your cards do hold together. I do feel like this deck is a little more slippery though, so it's not going to stick as much as the red deck. And I do recommend it for any card collector or cardist out there. Not, you know, for the magician or the average magician, because this is only a deck that 500 were made of. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I will try to link some pages where you might be able to find this black deck, as it's sold out on Encarta.com. You can still find this deck on Encarta.com, so if you want to, go ahead and pick it up, as only 1,000 were made. Guys, I have the Daniel Madison Hellions review coming out soon. It will be a little more intricate than this one because that is only one deck, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, peace.